Hi, I'm John Solari, your host of The Method Actor Speaks. And today we have a lifetime member of the Actors Studio, who's not only a member, but she's a very giving member. She gives her time and teaches. Ellen, I want you to pronounce your last name so we don't screw it up.
Okay, Gerstein.
Gerstein.
That's it.
Now, how long have you been a member of the Actors Studio?
Over 20 years.
Yeah.
I forget exactly when, but over 20 years.
Yeah.
Long time.
I came in
Maybe
85 myself.
Maybe 25 years, something like that.
Let me ask you, Ellen, why did you want to become an actor?
You know, it's so funny because I was a social worker in New York right out of college for 6 years. And but I always wanted to be what I thought of as an entertainer. I wanted to connect to people. I wanted to have them get away from their problems or not feel isolated in their problems. And I wasn't raised to be an actor. I never really, my parents had really nothing to do with that. And then I was a social worker, and then one day I remember I just stood up and I said, I can't do this anymore. I'm going over to the Lee Strasberg Institute because I had heard about Lee Strasberg, and I'm auditioning for his class, and I've had it with this social work. And I went over and auditioned. I got in at the time. The classes were small, like 8 people, 9 people with Lee. And it was great. And
Was that at Carnegie Hall, or was that down on 14th Street?
14th, I think it was 13th.
13th,
something
well,
like
yeah,
that,
that
around that area.
And
That's, yeah. I did that. He was 6 months there and then 6 months in LA.
Right.
I'd never been to LA. And another friend of mine in class was saying, I'm going to LA to study with him so I don't have to wait 6 months. I said, I'm in. I'm going.
Yeah.
So I went 6 months, 6 months, 6 months. As it was, I went back and forth. And I studied 5 years with him. And then I settled in, you got to settle somewhere. So I settled in LA.
Really?
Yeah.
God, that's interesting, being a social worker. Because I know you have a one-woman show you work on.
Yes,
What's
and I'm
the
a
name?
therapist. My psychotherapy comeback tour.
Yeah. Now, is that from your days
Of
as a
social
worker?
Actually, when I was 40 or 41, I was also doing stand-up. I had an antique store. I was doing acting, and I went to graduate school for psychology, and became a therapist, and then realized that I could save money on therapy and just talk to myself, and I just and this show is sort of on that, on being a therapist.
I've seen it a few times at the studio. It's really enjoyable.
It's funny.
But when you said the sauce, it must come from there. I mean, it's so New York. Really.
Yeah, very interactive. I like the interactive. In fact, I'm starting to rehearse it now so I can put it up. So, yeah, so I'm excited.
Now, you said you're going to be, before we became a character, tomorrow you're going to be doing the Rose Tattoo.
Rose Tattoo. There's a scene in there with the Good Time Girls who follow the Legionnaires to all the parties. I'm Bessie, and Claudia Stedlin is Flora, and Tracy Silver, of course, is the lead in Rose Tattoo, Serafina. So we have a wonderful scene of all 3 of us, and it's just crazy.
That is, I know the scene.
Oh, you do?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, great. It's great, isn't it?
Anna Mangani's, one of my idols.
Me too.
I mean, Lydia Vitale, she's in Rome now doing the one-woman show about her, which is really brilliant.
I heard, and I didn't see it, and I hope she's coming to do it here.
She did it here.
I know, but I didn't get to see it, and I heard it's fabulous. I want to see it.
She did it in New York, too, at all the Italian places, like Little Italy in the Bronx, downtown.
I was born in the Bronx.
So was that, what part?
I have no idea. I left the Bronx Hospital. Is there a Bronx Hospital?
Yeah, I think there is. I was born in Lincoln Hospital.
My mother was from the Bronx, and my daddy was from the Lower East Side. So I was born in the Bronx, but when I was 2, my mother's sisters, she's one of many, had moved to Miami. So we took me to Miami when I was 2, yeah.
I want to go back a little bit to Lee's class.
Ooh, yeah.
And if you wanted, you could talk a little bit about that.
I will. Loved. I feel so fortunate, I have to tell you. And I was honored to be able to take his class. For 5 years I studied with him, and I just had the time of my life. I have to just, I'll tell you a few things, but one thing I have to tell you, I got sick when I was in the class. I got sick something with my stomach. Anyway, I was in the hospital for quite a while. So I got a card from class and everyone, got well, we miss you, this, that, and the other. And then small in the corner, I read, use it in your work, Lee Strasberg. So I still have the card. And he's so right.
Yes.
You use everything in your work. And there was a small class at the time. And I believe Harvey Keitel was in one of my classes when he was starting out, and loads of people. But it was small and personal, and he really was a genius. He was a genius, and he got things out of you and got you to work in a certain ways that was so incredible that you would never know how to get that deep and that connected and that. And have that. It just is incredible.
Can you give a
example?
For the audience so they understand?
Well, first we did our relaxation exercise, which you know how incredible relaxation has to be. You have to be relaxed. And then we had different exercises, sensory exercises, and different exercises that you had to do and repeat and repeat and repeat, which was great. Instead of doing something for a few minutes or that's it, we're finished. No, no, no. You do it and you do it until you can do it right, do it deep and everything, which was wonderful.
Until it becomes part of you.
Yes, yes. And until you know how to use that, no hit and miss. And then we would do scenes, and he was unbelievable. He had inner dialogue, I'll always remember, where he had one where it's inner dialogue of the actor, like what was going on with him or her, or inner dialogue of the character. And it just connected you to everything. It was fabulous. And a lot of times he'd stop you immediately and start talking to you about things. I love that he didn't take any, you didn't have to defend yourself or talk back. You just had to listen to it and take it in and let it marinate and get it. And when you start talking back or defending, he'd say, darling, had that little click, darling, just listen to me, darling, just listen. And that's what you have to do. You have to relax and listen and take in those jewels of wisdom. He knew how to get to each person. That's another thing I loved. It wasn't just a general thing that he said to everyone. He knew how to get to this one as well as that one, personally to this one. He found out what the problems were, and then you could work through it. And it was so personal and wonderful. I just loved it.
I just hear it coming out of you. It's such a gift when you have that connection with someone.
Oh, it's incredible. And sometimes, this was great, sometimes he'd have open nights where people could come and watch, right? And I remember my parents came to visit me, and they came in to watch. They were paying for the classes at the time, and they were watching, and I was a chimpanzee making a phone call, and I can't tell you how that did not go over with my family. It's like, how much money we spent after a college education and this, and I see her, a chimpanzee, making a phone call. You could do that. What did you need class for? You could do that. Anyway, it was quite funny, and it was incredible.
But what was the meaning of that?
So an animal exercise, how to relax and have your body be that animal and have you thinking as that animal, and then that animal has behavior and what behavior you do, and then little by little that gets softer and softer where you just have a few things of that as the character that you're doing, and it's wonderful. But you try to tell your parents that. I got to tell you one thing.
Go ahead.
One time I did a play, Lovers and Other Strangers,
great play.
at the Actors Studio, not Actors Studio, at the Lee Strasberg, when they were, where was I?
Santa Monica Boulevard?
No, when it was on Hollywood Boulevard.
Hollywood Boulevard.
Was it Hollywood or Santa Monica? I can't remember now which one it was. Anyway, I think it was Hollywood. So my parents came to see me do the play, and I was in the imaginary mirror, remember? And you create sensory things and what you're doing with the creaminess. So I have the mirror here, and my parents were sitting, I guess, behind where the mirror would have been. And I hear my mother say to my dad, Al, duck, she'll see us. It'll break her she's saying this loud, break her concentration. So it was just funny. We had a great time. So those my parents.
That had to be something. I was just picturing that.
That was so funny. Duck, Al, duck. She's looking this way. So anyway, back to Lee. He was magnificent. I'm so fortunate, as I said before, to have studied with him, to really go to different levels you would never get to. But he makes you get there, and you feel so incredible when you do. It was wonderful to work on.
The levels you're talking about, what does that mean to the actor?
To the actor,
And how do you use that?
well, and it cannot be surface. You have to use certain things like substitution, moment before. You have to make things real to yourself. You have to go to places that perhaps you don't want to go to, but you must. And the focus and the concentration and how you connect to what's going on with you, the character, and connect that into your behavior and to the other person or people who are doing that scene with you. And to get lost in it, and to feel a freedom in it, and take risks and see what happens, not go for a result. It's just, I tell you, it's like flying.
That's when you said going for results. Now you see that a lot, don't you?
Yes. You know, I teach and coach.
Right. I was going to get to that, but
yeah, and you cannot do a scene. You have to do a slice of life, and you have to be open to be thoroughly in the moment. If each moment's the only moment, and that moment, if it's full, will take you to the next moment. So you can't be thinking of the next moment. That's anticipation. That's no. And you have to be totally in that moment, and whatever happens, happens. Sense of surprise is important. It's like life. We don't know what's going to happen next. Right now, I don't know what's going to happen.
no, you don't. You really don't.
I know.
But that's interesting, and it's so difficult for actors to learn that. You know, that to get in the moment. How do you? Now, when you teach, when you coach, how do you help people to do that? Or do you? Is that
Yes,
part?
of course I do. First thing I do is script analysis.
Right.
I'm very good with script analysis. So you get everything that the writer gives you. Every transition, every color, every moment. And you have to really understand that writing and what's being said to you. Because you don't want it to be general. And it's all different colors. So that's number one. And then there's a moment before that drives you into the scene. You don't start from the first line. You start from where your character is in the moment that drives you into that. And I personally like to use substitution. I like to make things personal. If you're thinking of something real or someone real, it will show in your face, in your eyes, in your behavior. It will show because it's real and it means something to you. The stakes have to be high. If it doesn't mean anything to you, it's not going to mean anything to anybody.
Right.
So you get lost in the moment when you understand what that moment is, and you've substituted and you've made it personal and you're connected to it, and you connect that with the other person. And you give and take. You take from the other person. And it's an incredible feeling. Every actor has felt that, who's gone to those places.
Right. Now, how important it is for you, the actor, to listen.
So important. Or else you're doing isolated acting. If you don't listen and take that in and let that affect you, that's the moment. Then you're just doing your thing. That's very indulgent. We don't do that.
Now, Love is Another Strangers, Joe Bologna and
Renee Taylor.
I mean, they're wonderful. It was great. I saw the movie too. But their writing is really,
Excuse me.
unbelievably.
Did you see the movie Made for Each Other?
I've seen mostly everything.
Made for Each Other was how they met. It is brilliant, and it was one of the best romantic comedies ever. I just have to tell you, it was fabulous.
Well, that's good. Were you in it?
No, no, but I appreciate.
I saw your work on, was it HBO? Or was it Showtime?
Shameless, Showtime.
Shameless.
Aunt Randy on Shameless.
Yes.
I'm a
really
badass. So
Right.
I love it.
And you had a reoccurring role. They had
Yeah,
you back.
I did.
Which
thank
shows you were doing the work, so they wanted you back.
Yeah, I'm excited. Such a great show. And actually, I just did a film, Swelter, with Alfred Molina and Jean-Claude Van Damme, and now I'm going to be doing one in San Francisco shortly. And I just did a short film that I was in and directed.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now, Alfred Medina and Claude Van Damme, they're two different actors. I mean, one's an actor and one's a
Yes,
martial arts.
Yes, exactly, exactly. But exactly, I love Alfred Molina. Is so wonderful.
Yeah.
He's fabulous. He's a
And
wonderful
he
person.
plays his leading man, and that's one thing I like about Europe. Over there, you don't have to be Matthew McConaughey, you know.
Exactly.
Really.
You could be real.
You could be
Yeah,
real.
I mean, not that Matthew isn't. He's a wonderful actor. You saw that Dallas Club. He was
Yeah.
incredible.
But what I'm saying, in America, they want you to be this,
I know.
you know, Greek goddess, whatever.
Yeah.
But over there,
You're real.
real people.
Yeah, which I love because that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Real people.
It really
That's
is.
what life's about. That's what all this is about. And you want people to identify and feel part of in some way. I just love that.
I remember Shameless, the British version originally.
Yes, I heard it was fabulous.
Really, really good. I
heard.
And I guess this Shameless is one of the few that I've seen where they've come, you know, most of them come from like the British.
Yeah.
And they make them into American. They don't usually work.
That shame. This one
This
does,
one
doesn't
does,
it?
yeah.
What a cast!
It's a great
William
cast.
H. Macy and Emmy Rawson.
But
I
most
mean,
of them don't.
Yeah, but this one, I just love the show. You know why I love the show? I want to tell you why I love Shameless. Because even though it's crazy and this happens and that happens, all crazy, there's a love of family. Those kids form a family
Yeah.
because the mother certainly isn't there and the father's drunk all the time. So they form a bond of love and support of each other. And I think showing that is tremendous. So I love it.
You're right there. I guess that's the moral of the story.
It's just
You
great
can have
to
a
see
family
that.
within a family.
Yes, and you can have a family. It doesn't have to be blood. Nowadays, a unit is people that really care for each other and are there for each other. It doesn't have to be blood to be family.
That's true. Now, when you
Yes.
teach at the Actors Studio,
I teach script analysis. In fact, that's where I'm going after this.
I was going to say, I know you go there, and a lot of the people don't know this is on her time. They don't get paid for this.
No.
It's a gift that we get at the studio. It's free to members and observers, and I guess the majority of your students are, I mean, people who come, are they mostly observers or finalists or?
No, they're
You get
all
it more-
sorts. Yeah, members, everybody. I think that the more you can do your preliminary work, which is the script analysis, the better and more specific your work will be. Your work has got to be specific, not general. And it's exciting. It's exciting to do it. So yeah, everybody comes, and that's what's so great about the Actors Studio. It's such a wonderful, supportive community. I feel so fortunate.
We're very fortunate to be, lifetime members of the Actors Studio.
And Marty Landau, are so fantastic. Mark Rydell, just everybody.
Well, now my idol there is Salome Jens, who I think is the closest to Lee.
I never took a class with her. I'm in the admissions. We're part of the judges together, so that's nice. And I did a play with her in Paula Prentice, and that was fun. But I don't really know her classes. So you do.
Well, I never studied with her, but I'm talking about as a moderator.
Oh, I don't know. I don't really know if she's the closest to Lee. I miss Lee.
Well, yeah.
I'm sorry.
But I know she always talks about 25 years she was with Lee.
Yeah.
And I know how much that means to
That
her.
means to her, absolutely, and
Yeah.
she's a terrific teacher. So, but I remember Lee like yesterday at the studio. He just, how he explained things and how he brought things out of an actor was just so incredible.
Now, do you do that? Do you try to carry that on when you're teaching script analysis? How to be? Are you more like? Are you more like Lee or are you more like Ellen?
Well, I think it's a mixture. I think it's a mixture, but a lot of it's Lee because to me, he was the best teacher. I studied script analysis with Stella Adler, who had fabulous script analysis class, and I took a lot of those, and that's how I got script analysis. But when I teach and coach the acting, it's me, but on Lee, because I feel he was the best teacher.
Now, when you do script analysis, so the audience, can you give us an idea what's that entails when you do
What
that?
that entails? It entails really understanding what the writer is saying and not being indulgent in the left-hand field when the project's over here and the writer's giving you here. I can be the littlest thing of I'm happy or I'm very happy. There's a difference between I'm very happy and I'm happy. And there's different beats and there's different colors and there's different transitions. And if you get all that, what the writer's giving you, that's your roadmap. And then your acting choices go on that roadmap so that you're not indulgent and over to the left. You're on that roadmap, and it's very exciting. It also gives you power and confidence because you're understanding more specifically of what's going on in that material.
That makes it clear, a lot clearer, because a lot of people, they hear that and they, well, what does that mean, script analysis?
Your work has got to be specific, and you get that from the script. Then you make your acting choices on that roadmap.
Now, when you go in for a reading, an audition, they give you the sides there.
No, you get your sides from your agent or your
What if
manager
you
the
don't?
night before. You usually get it the day before, night before. If you don't, then you get it there. I suggest if you get it there, you go early and go into the bathroom or outside and work on it. Don't get caught waiting there.
Or listening.
Because there's other people, you want your focus and concentration, go off and do it. But I usually, and I think most people usually get it before there.
Yeah, usually you do.
Usually. But if you get it there, like I say, go into the bathroom, go outside, do your work on it. Always carry a yellow marker so you can yellow the lines so they pop at you. That's just technical. And then do the script analysis.
Because years ago you used to get the script, now you just get the sides.
You get the sides. Sometimes you can get the script if your manager or agent can get it. But yeah, you get the sides. But that's okay if you do your script analysis and then make strong acting choices. Don't try to be right. Don't be general. Be specific and make strong choices. That's what's going to get it.
Now, when you read for
Shameless?
Shameless,
Mm-hmm.
now, what was that? How did your script analysis to create that character?
Well, she was tough. The first audition, I was supposed to have a shotgun, and my first line was, "Get the fuck off my yard." Which I've always died to say, which was it was like a great beginning. And I just understood that character. I did script analysis on the scene, and why I was like that. I made choices, and why I had a shotgun, and I actually practiced with not a real one, but one for the witness before I had to go to Chicago to shoot. But I did everything so that when they give me the shotgun, I would know how to. If I don't know how to use it, I'm not going to be right. I have to know how to hold it and how to, whatever this is called. So it was interesting. The location was interesting, and so I worked on it a lot before I got there, and then I was ready because a lot of these shows shoot really fast. You got to be ready. You can't think you're going to get ready. You've got to be ready. And I did a homeless schizophrenic on Southland, and that was great. Oh, that was great. In the Streets. Allison Anders directed that, and it was fabulous. Mimi Leder directed The Shameless. They were wonderful directors.
Well, once they get to know you, a lot of times they use you again.
Yeah, it was great.
HBO is good for that. They use a lot of the same actors.
Yeah.
Once you work for it, you become like a family with them.
Yeah.
Which is really good.
Yeah.
Shameless was shot on location? Or?
Well, some of it shot here. and some of it's shot in Chicago. When they shoot me, I go to Chicago, which is great.
Huh?
I'd never been to Chicago,
No,
so
no.
it was terrific. So, and everyone having to do with it, John Levy cast me in it, so it's great.
So the difference, like you said, is really quick.
It's quick.
Now,
Gotta be ready.
you got to be ready.
Woo.
You know, it's like, well, television is like that. But it's more shot as a movie, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Than
Yeah.
a television show.
Yeah. And what you do is they'll say you want to run lines, so we run lines. Okay, ready, go. So it's quick. Like I say, you must be ready. You have to be prepared. That's being professional. Everyone's.
It is amazing when you think of that. Now, when we do a play, we have like 3 to 6 weeks to rehearse.
I know. So it's such a
You get
completely
10
different
minutes.
thing. I know. So and I remember the first job I ever had was a film, and the first scene I had, they were like, it was with Ray Berry. And I had to get into bed. Of course, I was dressed from the neck to the whatever. Had to get. So it's like, hi, I'm Ellen. I'm Ray. Hey, okay, into bed. Here we go. It's like, what? So, right, okay. He goes, didn't I see you at the motel? Yeah, didn't I see you? Okay, here we go. So right, so it's so much fun. So,
And that's where you just do it.
Yeah, you just do it.
Do it, and
you're prepared, and you do it, and that's it.
Yeah, it's such a difference when you tell the artist, well, I get 6 weeks to do this, to rose tattoo, but I get 5 minutes over there.
Right.
And it's also a different type of acting too. Do you think?
I think it's more intimate, for film and TV than the theater. But if you are, if you've studied your craft and you're a good actor, you could do it all, and you should be able to. Should be able to do everything. If you're good, you're good.
You're good, yeah.
Yeah, if you're good, you're good.
Would you say that your training as an actor in the theater, that's what helps you to do all the rest? Is because you take the time to learn what you're doing and
Right.
you understand what you're doing, so that when you have to rush,
You already know how to get there.
Right.
Exactly.
I think that's why they always like New York actors.
Exactly. You can get there, and you can get there and keep getting there.
Keep getting there.
Yeah,
Because
it's not a one-shot deal. You keep getting there.
when you were talking, it just came to me, that's why. Because you always hear about, they always love New York actors because they did theater.
Right.
And it just came to me, that's probably why, because we do it, and then when we have to do it in a different style, like for the camera, we already have that knowledge, that training, how to just
Absolutely.
go there.
I just did a short film, as I said, with the brilliant Charlie Robinson, and it was such an incredible, fragile, bittersweet love story, and we had to get to certain emotion every time, and there was no problem. We worked off each other incredibly. We got to the places we needed to get, and that's from the training,
Charlie, he's a very good actor. He did
incredible.
Death of a Salesman.
Just recently, I went to see him. He was brilliant.
And for a lot of you folks who don't know who Charlie Robinson is, he was on
Night
Court. He was the black guard. So when we say he played Willie Loman, it was a crossover.
Right.
And
He's a brilliant actor. He can
really
do
is.
anything. He can do anything.
When I was working on Huey at the studio, Eugene O'Neill's, I wanted to do with him, and I wanted us to switch parts.
Interesting.
I would do Huey once, and he would play the clerk, and then I would play the clerk, and him play Huey.
Well, that would be interesting.
It's one thing I learned about, and I admire about the studio, is where they allow you to go where it's not normally you'll be allowed to go.
Which is wonderful. Risk-taking and stretching and growing, and that's what's all about.
Yeah.
You can do certain things that maybe you wouldn't be cast as, but maybe you will be once you stretch and grow and take that risk and show people you can do that.
Well, isn't that what the studio really is about? It's about doing things you wouldn't be cast.
Absolutely. To stretch and grow and really use your craft.
Right.
And do things that are passionate to you.
But even as an actor, I think, when you work on things that are not what you're going to be cast on, that's how you grow.
And you should do your own things.
Right.
You know, nowadays you do your own film.
You have to.
You do your own play. You do
You have
your
to.
own one-person show. You just put whatever's up there. Put little Vimeos on YouTube or whatever. Just do. You must do. Do not sit back and wait for someone to call you. You've got to put yourself out there, your talent out there. You've got to do it. And be around people that want to do. So you can go and do together. It's great.
It is great.